Your daylilies have finished blooming and you've had these green balls pop up on some of your daylily scapes. These are daylily seed pods and we're going to talk about what they are, what to do with them in this video. Alright, so this is a seed pod on a daylily, right? Kind of green, round, about the size of a little smaller than a golf ball, right? So this variety has several on it, these, and then these are some that have already dried up. Some daylily varieties will have quite a few of these, and others you may not have any at all. It just depends on the variety. Now, how did these get here? Obviously this bloom was pollinated by something. It could have been pollen, I suppose, falling off from the same bloom, but probably an insect or a bee or something pollinated it. And so this is going to contain seeds, and the seeds will be different than the plant that it is on because it's a cross, it's a hybrid. Now, it may look a lot like the parent plant, but it's not going to be identical. It will be, a child of this and something else, or maybe it in itself. But it's going to be a different plant. All right, so what do you do with them? Well, you don't have to do anything. You can just leave it alone, and it will eventually dry up like these are and disappear. Now, we get the question sometimes, if it dries up like this one has, and you can see the little black seed in there. Okay, well, it may have had more than this that fell onto the ground. And so the question we get is, are they going to fall on the ground and come up with new daylilies next to my, current daylilies? We haven't really found that to happen. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it's not very common. We never take care of these, and we, as far as I know, never really have daylilies coming up next to our others just from seeds. So that's not really something that we think you really need to worry about. The other thing you could do with your seed pods is you could harvest the seeds and plant them, and you would get some new daylilies from them. Now, you're going to want to wait until they get mature, which is typically somewhere in between this one. This is still a little too green to harvest, and this is too far gone. So when it gets a little bit drier than this, you want to catch it before it breaks open. I'll go ahead and harvest this one anyway and show you what's inside of it. Okay, so see down in there, those seeds? You're not too far off on this one from being ready. And you can kind of tell these seeds are, they've got some substance to them. You can kind of look at this one and tell that feels like a viable seed. If it were empty or really soft or just doesn't look very good, you might not want to waste your time planting it. But again, you're just planting a seed, so it's not that much trouble. Give it a try. If it doesn't come up, what's the worst? So that's what you would do if you want to harvest it. Wait a little bit longer than this. This is still a little too green, but when it turns a little bit more brown, you're going to open it up, take the seeds out. All right. So if you did harvest your seeds, there are some differences in thought whether you need to put these in the freezer for a couple weeks or not. I think most folks have decided you don't necessarily need to. You can go ahead and plant them if you want to. It also does kind of depend on where you are. If it's really late in your area when you harvest these, for instance up north, this is early August here in Tennessee. So I probably would have time to plant these now, and they would get big enough to last over the winter. But if you're not harvesting these for another month or so, you may want to wait, put them in the freezer until next spring to plant. And when my grandfather used to do hybridizing, he would do that a lot of times. He would put them in the freezer and plant them the next spring, so they have time to get big enough, to be hardy enough for the winter. Then when you plant these, you're going to want to plant these in obviously like a seed bed, maybe in some potting soil, in a pot, or you can do it in the ground if you got a really nice worked up bed. But you're planting seeds here, so you're going to straight into rough soil is probably not going to work for you. And then the next step towards getting a new daylily from your seeds is to wait. Patience. Here in Tennessee, typically it takes at least 2 years and probably 3 years before you go from a seed to a plant that you can tell what it's really going to look like. Down south, you may cut that shorter. Second year, maybe even the year after you get the seed, you could get a good bloom to take a look at. But it's going to take some time, so just be prepared to have some patience. There's one more step. After your daylilies finally bloom, you get to go through and see what new is blooming in the garden every day, and then your challenge gets to be deciding which ones you want to keep, because you can get a lot of daylily seeds and a lot of new plants, and a lot of them will look like stuff you already have. And really the challenge in creating new daylily varieties is finding something new and different. But that's like a surprise in your garden when you do this kind of stuff with the seed. Once you've made your selections and you want to plant your daylilies, we've got a good video on how to plant a daylily bed. You might want to check that out. And if you have any questions about seed pods or about anything daylily related, we would love to hear from you. Put them in the comments below, or our contact information is on the website. Thanks for watching.